We're sisters, best friends, and authors on a mission to help you stoke your creative fire and live the life of your dreams. We believe that purpose fuels passion and that creativity is your secret weapon for mass construction. There's never been a better time to bless the world with your dream realized. You're listening to The Kate and Abbie Show.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Kate and Abbie Show. We're so stoked to have you here today. We're going to be unpacking a very helpful topic. We hope it will be helpful. We hope it will aid you in your own writing journey. What to do when it feels like you may not be making progress on your dreams. Maybe you have a dream of being a published author or a best-selling author or publishing a trilogy or producing an incredible screenplay. And you just feel like there's setback after setback coming at you and you feel like you're running on a treadmill. You're not really getting anywhere. These feelings are very real. They happen to all of us. And we're going to talk about how do we handle that when we feel like we're not making progress and what are some things we can do to sort of shift that mindset and get ourselves back on track. And I think it's a very fitting episode for right now because Abbie and I have had a very busy couple of weeks. As a lot of you guys know, we didn't post an episode last week and this episode is coming out on Tuesday. Normally it comes out on Monday, but we have just had such a hectic time and we've both been a bit burnt out, really. And so, and some of you know from my YouTube channel, if you follow the channel here on the video version of the podcast, I had an issue with a manuscript getting deleted mid-edit and I lost days of work and it was just this huge setback and it brought to mind this exact topic of what do we do when it seems like 10 things are going wrong and only one thing is going right and you're just overwhelmed wondering, is this even the right path for me? And I wanted to say a thank you to everyone who reached out to me with such kind words of encouragement about the document getting lost. I was able to make my deadline and now we're happy to be here coming to you with a slightly late episode of the podcast, but it's all good. We're going to unpack this topic. We're going to talk about how you can face your own setbacks with courage and a positive expectation of good. But before we get started,
we have to thank our sponsors, who are you guys. You're the ones who support this show and help us keep it going, and we so appreciate your help. So if you get value out of this podcast, go to patreon.com/The Kate and Abbie Show and help us keep this podcast alive and free of interruptions. So let's get into it. I love this topic because, like you said in the intro, it's really a mindset shift. It really has so much to do with your attitude and your perspective on life and on your dreams. And I'm speaking as a very ambitious person, sometimes too ambitious. I will set impossible goals for myself because I think it's fun to pursue impossible goals or seemingly impossible goals and to try to push yourself to do the unexpected, to do things that you didn't necessarily think you were capable of doing. And it's fun to surprise yourself, but you can also sometimes set the bar so high that it always feels out of reach. And that even the progress you do make doesn't feel like progress because you're comparing it to like this ideal of what you want your ultimate future to be.
Right. Or perhaps even someone else's progress that you're measuring yourself by. You're looking at some published author or screenwriter or someone who is living what you consider to be your dream, quote unquote, your dream. And you're comparing your own progress to theirs, which is silly. And so many of us fall into it and it is silly. And I think it's good to take a step back and realize, like, you know, kind of laugh it off, realize like that was silly of me to compare myself to someone else because I'm my own beautiful, unique, divine individual. So my path is not going to unfold like a carbon copy of someone else's path, and you wouldn't want it to. If you really think about it, you wouldn't want it to. That would not be a good thing for your life to be the copy of someone else's life.
Yeah, and they have struggles too, you know, they have problems. Everybody has issues in their life, and you don't know what their issues are probably because they only share the highlight reel, you know, on their social media or whatever. And so their life seems flawless. It seems perfect. It seems like they are getting everything they want, but you don't know what they're personally going through. And that's freeing, I think, to be aware that everybody is on a journey and we're all dealing with issues.
Exactly.
You know, it's not, nobody has the perfect life.
Right. And that's why, like, I even wanted to share in this podcast, like, that you and I have been feeling burnt out and overwhelmed with a lot lately. And I had a manuscript get deleted and it was this massive stressor. And of course, I like to put things in perspective and realize, you know, there's so much suffering and horrible things going on in the world right now. And it's like, okay, that's not a big deal. You know,
Right.
you lost a few days of work. We'll get through it, take a deep breath and, you know, start over. But it is stressful. It can be stressful. Stressful emotions will come up, and we're not like these perfect writers who, you know, have nothing but good writing days and absolutely flawless experiences. We are right there with you guys when so many of you have commented and been like, well, you know, I'm struggling with burnout. I'm overwhelmed. We experience all of that.
Yes.
Too, on a pretty regular basis, because it's part of it, you know, it's part of it. And it's not so much, the success isn't never experiencing those things. It's how do we handle those things and how do we look after ourselves?
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually in the midst of filming a vlog that is not going to be ready this week because I'm too burned out to edit it, but it's going to be ready probably next week. And,
Well,
it's chronicling a lot of my kind of healing journey out of this.
That's awesome.
Out of this.
Yeah, I can't wait to see
burnout.
that.
So I'm still in the midst of
for
it.
that.
You know, it's an ongoing process.
Well, you had such a huge editing project with, if you guys haven't yet seen Abbie's latest Science of Story video, it's incredible, and it's talking about strong female characters, but that thing is like a documentary. It's like Abbie burnt her eyes out making this thing.
Did.
And so, I mean, that takes a lot out of you.
Yeah,
That's something I think to keep in mind is sometimes when you feel like you aren't making progress, it's because you're expending so much energy into what you're doing that sometimes it just feels like I have nothing left to give to this right now.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And you expect your results to kind of equal the amount of effort you put in. And it doesn't always happen that way.
Good point.
You know, especially not early on in one's career, which I would still, even though I've made progress on a lot of the things that I've set out to accomplish, I would still consider myself very early on in my career. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
I try not to judge myself based on like where I hope to be in 10 years, you know, like, why isn't that happening now? Like, yeah, I do get impatient for things like that, but for like future goals, but I also try to kind of take stock and be like, okay, I'm putting a lot of effort in right now because it's going to have like a ripple effect, you know, it's going to be an investment of time and energy.
Right.
And I would also say that in the past, the amount of work that I had to put into my YouTube channel, for instance, I don't put in as much work now as I did like 3 years ago because I've been able to watch it grow to a point where I can relax a little bit more and not be so frantically creating and kind of take a step back and allow myself to enjoy the fruits of my labors, so to speak.
Right.
Which I think is important when you're pursuing kind of a long-term thing. So whether it's, you know, publishing a book series or starting a YouTube channel or starting a business, an online business or an e-commerce thing, like anything that you're pursuing, once you start it and you're like well into it, you have to kind of pace yourself and realize, okay, I've made progress on this. I'm proud of myself for this. I can see the results of my efforts here. And now I'm going to put in more effort in a specific place and see the results there. So it's not like you just have to keep working until you drop, you know?
Right.
You can enjoy yourself along the way. You can enjoy what you have accomplished.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, because even like success, and I don't even really like to use that word anymore because it's so subjective. It's so subjective, and there's not one definition of success. And I think more and more souls are beginning to awaken to that fact that, hey, you know, just because you think that's success, that doesn't mean everyone thinks that's success. And that's really healthy to realize that. But to realize, okay, even when imagine yourself in this version of what you picture to be success. What are you doing? Right? So maybe your idea is you're publishing this book and you're able to make a living off of it. So then what does your life look like? and it's most likely going to be you're enjoying your life, right? So why can't we do that now? You know what I mean? The thing is in so many cases, you can actually tap into that idea of your successful future life right now and begin to enjoy your life, begin to do those things that you've put off to this later date of one day when I'm successful. And you can actually begin to do those things now. And if you can root into enjoying the present moment, I really think that's where more abundance flows from. Abundance doesn't flow from this state of frantically depriving yourself of everything now and kind of living this half existence so that one day you'll be able to be quote unquote successful. You know what I mean? I think it's important to tap into the happiness that comes with your version of success right here, right now, realizing, you're already a success. The fact that you're here on earth with all of us and you get to make something beautiful. And sure, maybe more income and more resources will come later down the road, and that's good. But it's important to not attach all of your happiness to just these physical manifestations of those things.
Yeah. 100%. I agree, because you can be happy wherever you are. Mm-hmm. I think that, and many people and psychologists and people who have studied this, have written about this in the past, is that you can, when you're like really living in the moment is when you're the happiest, when you're connecting with really human nature in its purest form. And those things don't necessarily change based on where you are in your career or how much money you have or whatever. You can access those things now. And you can also visualize what you want for your future in sort of a present tense state of mind. This is something that I've started doing occasionally and want to do more of, is journaling visualization prompts, sort of, in present tense. So like writing about yourself, what you want to be doing in the future, but you're writing in present tense as if you're doing it already.
That's
like
cool.
If it's already your life, whether it's a place you want to visit or a certain, job you want to have or something that you want to accomplish, a certain lifestyle you want to have, and writing about that like in vivid detail. And this would be a great exercise for writers, because writers are already super imaginative and we can already like put ourselves in the shoes of our character, but making like sort of designing your dream life in your imagination and immersing yourself in the joy of that, thinking of that as like sort of the starting point, not the ending of like, what if my day started from this kind of lifestyle, and all of this ties into like the law of attraction and bringing things into your reality, which I love and I'm obsessed with that whole concept. But it also works just for tapping into that joy of that gratitude, already having what you are seeking, already being in possession of what it is you want.
Right.
Not seeing as, well, someday if I work hard enough, if I work long enough, if I reach this number on my YouTube channel or I reach this number in my bank account, then I will have that joy. No, you can access that joy right now. And by accessing that joy right now, you're actually calling those things into your reality.
Mm. Yeah, that's so true.
Which is just a really fascinating concept to me.
It is. And I think the more gratitude you give to what you have now, the more you can allow those things to manifest in your life. So even realizing, hey, wow, I get to do this. I get to write this book, even if it's something you're just doing on the side while you're working 2 other jobs, to be able to take a pause and be grateful for the gift that you have to even be able to write, even if it's not something you're publishing right now, even if you have many steps still to come to get to a place where you're releasing your writing into the world, or whatever your dream is. Express gratitude for the fact that you're even able to do this. There are so many people who might not even have access to the resources that you have access to right now, and that's a true gift. And it's something to be so grateful for and realize like, wow, that's incredible that I'm even able to do this. I get to do this. This is a a blessing, and to express gratitude for that.
Yeah.
Makes more space for it to grow rather than focusing constantly on the negative of, oh, well, it's not exactly where I want it to be.
Right.
I think that can really put it into perspective.
Yeah, for sure. And seeing it more as like a journey, as you were talking, I was thinking about how and you'll like this metaphor because you're a hiker. It's kind of like going on a hike. And I feel like you've used this metaphor before, but I know you hiked the Grand Canyon and you hiked to the bottom and came back out the top. Now, did you think when you reached the bottom, was that like the best moment? Or when you came back out and like finished the entire trail, was it like, wow, this is the moment I've been waiting for. This is like the best moment. No, you probably had a lot of cool moments and a lot of great moments of just appreciating where you were on the trail, on the journey throughout the course of the journey. And I think that's how it is sort of with accomplishing things and chasing your dreams, is like, it's not just like the pinnacle climactic moment of like, this is what I came out to accomplish. I've reached this number, or I reached this, this amount of income or whatever. That's not going to be even the moment that you remember forever. Yeah. It's all the steps along the journey where special, beautiful things are happening and they're unfolding around you. And like, you're never going to be in that spot on the trail again. Yes. So you should appreciate that spot on the trail,
Yeah, no, that's an absolutely terrific example. And yes, I've used that example before for things like this because I actually read it in a book. It was a trail guide for the Grand Canyon. And it was this book all about just different things to know about the Grand Canyon, because I'm that person who likes to read a lot about like different locations before I go to them and different hikes and really sink your teeth into all the details and savor each moment. But this particular author wrote in this book about the Grand Canyon to be a location hiker, not a destination hiker. She was talking about how if you're just into trying to get as quickly as possible to, point A or point B, you're going to miss all the goodness in between. And how it's not really about just saying you did it, because lots of people do that. They'll just, keep their head down on the trail and go as fast as possible so that they can take the Instagram picture and put it up and be like, yep, we hiked here. But it's like, well, how did that actually serve you? How did that serve your soul? How did it nourish you? And what memories do you actually have for it that were for you, not for just sharing with someone else online? You know what I mean? And so that's the thing with our own respective writing journeys, or whatever dream you're chasing. What is it doing for you to serve you? Not anyone else, not the people it will even affect when it's published, but what is it doing for you now? Because this is actually the most important part of the journey, is what's happening in this stage. This is the transformation for you. Right. So you know what I mean? So even if your book is published and it affects other people's lives in a positive way, the only sad thing will be that you didn't give it the time and attention to affect you. Yeah.
And that will come through your writing, I think, when it does affect you and it does 100%. Matter to you, deeply. That shines through your writing, and your readers will experience that. And yeah, I think that's such a great point, and I love that. That can be applied to so many things, that principle, I feel. And so finding gratitude and being able to honor the place that you are on your journey right now, because it's finite, it is momentary. It's like it's fleeting as much as this moment that we're living in right now. So you have to embrace it and enjoy it for all that it is. And also be aware that every moment matters to your journey. And every time that you work really hard or take a step back, take a break, nourish yourself, nourish your creativity, all of those moments add up and all of those moments matter. And whatever it is that you're doing right now, even though it seems like a small task for the larger goal, for the larger mission, for the larger dream, that small task is essential to making the dream happen. So even though it seems like this is nothing, this isn't getting me anywhere, I feel like I'm not making progress, it all does make progress. It's I think more nothing is more, nothing illustrates this point more for writers than the process of editing.
Yeah.
Because it's like that one line at a time, you know, going with a fine-tooth comb through your manuscript and trying to, you know, make it better. And a lot of times those little changes, like, oh, this word should be changed, this description sounds weird, you think, do I really need to do that? Like, what's it gonna matter? But they all matter. They all add up, you know? And that's just a great illustration of really any place in your dream, in your journey, where you are working towards accomplishing something great, accomplishing an impossible goal. All of those little moments are gonna feel like, does this even matter? This doesn't feel like it's bringing me anywhere. But it is, because it's all a step on the journey.
Yeah, it's true. It is. And it's just like building anything, you know, it's brick by brick.
Yeah.
And you have to just be fully present in stacking that one brick, laying the foundation of this thing that you're building. You know what I mean? And really, like, when you think about it, that one line is the whole book. That one brick is the whole building, because that's what you're working on right now. And if you're not fully present making that right now, the rest will never come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of weird when you think of it that way.
But it's very
cool.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is really cool. And that's something that I think, like we said at the beginning, that's all about perspective, really. It's all about just changing your mental attitude towards your dream and what you're doing and what you're working on. And it's difficult to do that. It's like probably the most difficult thing you'll ever do, honestly.
Yeah.
Is being able to control your own thoughts and your own mental attitude about things. But there have been so many amazing people in history and recent history, not even far history, but just all the time, all around the world, there are so many people who are defying the odds that are stacked against them and just changing their mental attitude and accomplishing amazing things, even though everything's against them. So you're in good company if you feel like everything's against you and there's just setback after setback, or the dream seems impossible. You have a lot of people around you, even if you can't see them, even if you don't know them personally. A lot of people have gone through similar struggles and have accomplished regardless, even when they felt like giving up, even when they felt like they weren't making progress on their dreams. And one piece of advice that I would give to anybody listening to this, especially young people who aren't sure, like, you want a mentor figure in your life, you want a person that you can feel like you're friends with almost. You want to be friends with these people who pull you up to a higher level and help you to reach your dreams, is you can find these people. It doesn't have to be a two-way street. You don't have to even personally talk to them. This is a concept that like revolutionized my life when I realized it, that I could find the most inspirational, cool people who accomplished the most incredible things and just find every book they ever wrote, every audio thing they ever spoke into, every video they ever made, podcasts, whatever. If they lived a while ago and aren't doing podcasts, then you can find books that they've written. You can find audiobooks. You can find a lot of content around inspiring individuals and surround yourself with that content and consume that content instead of scrolling through social media or looking at, what your classmates or friends or whoever is on your social media, whatever they're doing. Don't even bother.
Yeah.
Spend your time wisely. So you can choose your friends, literally. You can choose your influential figures in your life. You can choose the mentors in your life. You can surround yourself with these amazing, incredible people who inspire you, and you can devour everything that they know, everything that they've ever put out. And that can be like your virtual friend group.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just, well, these are the people who are around me and I don't like listening to what they have to say. Well, then don't listen. If they don't believe in you, don't listen to them.
Right,
Go listen to somebody who defied the odds and accomplished their dream regardless of everybody who told them that they couldn't do it. Because guaranteed that will empower you and inspire you to go and do the same. And all you really need to do this is self-belief.
Exactly. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, it was, like I said, it like revolutionized my life when I realized that. I'm like, this is really cool. I could choose a handful of people. Because science says that you basically psychologically become a combination of the 5 people that you hang around with the most.
That's why we're so similar.
Yeah. I've seen that in my own life. So you can choose who those people are.
Yeah.
You can choose big dreamers.
Not to mention there's that, the element of like subliminal affirmations. Like when you spend a lot of time listening to people who are maybe tearing your dreams down or telling you that you can't do it, this is a pipe dream, it'll never happen. Your subconscious is listening to all of that and it's collecting this data. And so we don't want to continuously subject ourselves to that. Now, of course, I'm not saying like if, you can certainly let go of that. You can let negative comments roll off of you, but don't put yourself on purpose around people who are just going to tell you negative things and kind of tear apart your dreams. And also for you guys who are like, oh, I wish I had an online writing community of encouraging people. The Kate and Abbie Show, be down in the comments because we see writers encouraging each other all the time in the most beautiful ways. And we're so blessed and thrilled and humbled by this amazing positive vibe of this writing community that hangs out and listens to the show and interacts with us and gives us you guys' thoughts. It's absolutely incredible. And so sometimes even if you don't have people in your immediate life, there are so many people online now that, are also like going to encourage you and cheer you on because they're chasing after the same things. And really that's the positive part of the internet. Like that's the good thing about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, aside from all the like toxicity of over social media and consumerism, I mean, there is a good side of it. There's, looking for the positive. And like you were saying, being able to connect with people who are going to cheer you on and tell you, hey, you can beat the odds. You can do this.
Yes, 100%. That's so important. It's important to have a community. It's important just for like a psychological factor to feel like you belong to a tribe of people who are doing the same thing, who are after the same dreams, who have the same visions and the same, the same values, Right. I think that's really important. And it's also important for really bringing yourself to a different level, whatever it is you want to be normal in your life, to go into spaces where that is the normal behavior. Like there's lots of behavioral scientists that study this concept of going to a place where the desired behavior is the normal behavior and how that just effortlessly brings you to that same level. So I think that is very important to have a community, whether it's online or in real life, whatever the case may be. If you have a community of people or a small group of people that you all can connect and pursue the same sort of goal together, it's so empowering. It's very inspiring.
Exactly. Yeah. So even if your family doesn't understand how you can spend hours writing or rewriting a scene, there's a lot of people who will be able to nod their head and relate to that exact thing.
For sure.
And cheer you on while you do it.
Including us. Hopefully this episode cheered you on. Hopefully it gave you some rocket fuel inspiration to carry you into the rest of your day and week. We hope that it inspired you creatively. And if it did, if you liked this episode, drop us a comment. We love to hear from you guys. We love for you to continue the discussion. If you're on YouTube, drop a comment. If you haven't seen the video aspect of this podcast, go to Kate's YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/KAMins. Follow her channel. Lots of great content. My channel is youtube.com/Abbie Emmons. I also have a lot of writing content over there. Check out my latest Science of Story video. I think you'll like it. Burned my eyes out on it, as Kate said. So go show us some love.
Totally worth it. It's amazing, guys. It's amazing. And Abbie is so talented and gifted with this stuff. It's just a visual feast.
Thank you.
And you'll learn a lot. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from it.
I'm glad. Well, thank you guys again for listening. We love you guys so much. Thank you again to our amazing patrons who make this show possible. If you get value out of this podcast, go to patreon.com/The Kate and Abbie Show and help us keep this podcast alive and free of interruptions. Until next week,
stay stoked
and rock on.